Use your voice, try and understand it. Don't make a noise, we're trying to run floats. Floats. People just want to sit in silence. Don't want sounds that they can hear in their floats. Floats.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Solutions podcast. This is Ashkahn. We have a slightly different episode for you guys today. Instead of answering a question like we normally do, I actually have a special guest on with us. Here today with me is Gloria Morris from Float 60. She's going to be speaking at the Float Conference this year. We just did an interview for our Float Conference podcast and thought we would ask one more little bonus question for you guys here over at Daily Solutions. So, welcome, Gloria.
Thank you. I feel so privileged. But where's Graham and where's the flashy intro?
The intro will be there. We'll put that in.
Make it special.
You'll have to hear it on the final production.
Okay.
And I usually imitate Graham for most of these episodes anyway. He's not here most of the time, so you don't have to worry about that.
All right. Well, Graham, you are missed.
So my question for you that I thought would be interesting to hear your opinion on is you started a float center in Chicago, in Chicago, really in the city, and then 2 years later opened up a second location in northern Indiana. So I don't know how far is that away from Chicago, where your second center is?
Physically, it's 26 miles away, so it's suburban. People often get confused that Indiana is really far from Chicago, but it's very close. So we're at the tip of the south border of Lake Michigan. So yeah, it's 45 minutes.
Okay, so 45 minutes. So pretty much like the suburbs of Chicago.
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I'm curious. There's not a lot of people out there, I think, that have both of those experiences simultaneously, running a center really in a big city and in the suburbs. And I'm curious to hear what you found the differences to be. Like, are there different ways that you have to market to people or accommodate people as they come in, or just generally kind of what has been what have you found to be different or entirely the same about running them in kind of different contexts like that?
It's a great question, and I was just speaking about this to my interns. We were talking about strategy and customer database related stuff, and totally different dynamic, right? So people that come to Chicago, we have a lot of first-time guests in Chicago just because it's a huge pool of people. It's very dense in a 3 million person population in the metro area. So, your operations and working with people who are coming in for the first time, and you might have 60% of your day you're dealing with first-time customers.
Yeah.
Whereas in Indiana, it really is a world away. It's a much different demographic. It's a much different population in terms of the density is just not very much. And so you have to do things much differently, I think, in terms of marketing. So we very much nurturing campaigns for our Indiana location, which we just started. So we're 4 months in, and I'm already having to take a look at, the existing database and doing some campaigns specifically to new customers to get them back for a second time. So, that conversion of a first to second time in Indiana is so much more important than even in Chicago, because there's just so many people to pull from in Chicago. There's always this new influx of people, whereas in Indiana, you pretty much have this fixed area and you're not going to get a lot of people kind of visiting this area. So yeah, our marketing campaigns, I call it a nurture campaign. We do a lot of existing database mining with our current customer base. We're having to do a lot more outreach from a media and advertising perspective, just to keep our tanks full, and they're not full. So it truly is a test for me to see how skilled I am in marketing. This is much harder in Indiana than it is in Chicago, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And when you talk about your going through your data to find this, how are you reaching out to people through email campaigns, or what's your method of reaching your existing customers?
so traditionally I've done a lot of email campaigns, but in this particular campaign that we just did in June, we did a member guest type of campaign, and we literally called every member we had, which isn't a lot because we just opened.
Right.
But we're very focused on memberships here, but we called everybody on the phone, and we did do this in River North too because it really did well. So we did spill this over to River North, but in Indiana we did a phone campaign, and we called every single person that had signed up for a membership and offered them to bring in a friend. So nothing too crazy, nothing too, creative, but I think it's just particularly important, even in bigger markets, to nurture the database you have versus just focus on customer acquisition, right? You have to balance them. So yeah, that's a big difference. And in both locations, in the third one, to be able to continue to do our community relations and outreach, we literally have a brand ambassador at each location that goes out, and their sole job is to evangelize, meet business owners, and figure out ways to collaborate with them.
Wow, that's great. And
It's
what
crazy,
have you done
right?
any have you done any like more traditional paid advertising for either spot?
I've done a very little bit of print in Indiana,
Yeah.
just because there's some certain subdivisions in certain areas that I think, in fact, it only came to be because we had some customers come in from those areas who suggested it, right? It wouldn't be my first choice to do that. We do a lot of social, of course. We do a lot of Facebook and Instagram. But again, I do go back to my focus in Indiana being more about the existing database and people who have not necessarily just members, but I think we also need to look at anybody who's given us a positive review or somebody that really got excited that could be an ambassador, right? So reaching out to those people and giving them some type of systematic way to spread the word is very powerful. So we use the referral program in Helm big time in Indiana, much more than we do in Chicago, which again is mostly out of habit, but it's a cool way just to get people talking. Super important.
Yeah. And in this suburban kind of location, are you, when you're talking about reaching out to the community, do you feel like you're focusing on individuals more than companies like you would in Chicago? Like my impression of your kind of brand ambassador stuff in Chicago is a lot of collaboration with other businesses around you or like-minded businesses in the city. And I'm getting the sense that it's almost a little bit more like individual people focused in Indiana.
I think it's both in Indiana. I think you're right. In Chicago, we definitely focus our brand ambassador activities on collaborations with other businesses. But in Indiana, it's definitely both. We have a very strong referral campaign that everybody in the studio is absolutely in tune to doing. And then we have the dedicated brand ambassador who's the same as Chicago going around and doing outreach to businesses, understanding what health fairs are out there. I mean, we do a lot of activities, a lot of events. We're just trying to get visibility. And the crazy piece of marketing that we're doing is driving this little company van around that's completely wrapped obnoxiously. You cannot miss us on the road. And I cannot tell you how many people have stopped me. And I vowed not to drive this thing because I'm Italian. I get a little road rage here and there.
No, I've been in the car with you.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's a good idea.
You
That's smart
know,
thinking,
exactly, right? But I'm driving it today. It's been very convenient to drive it just to haul stuff between locations. But Lisa is the one, God bless Lisa. I can just picture her when she gets this van for me. She's going to be doing her, Cinderella wave and her big smile out the window. And she's much better suited to drive that than me. But we're literally taking that van and doing like on-site events. And it's a moving billboard for us. We take our little local cryo machine and we're doing hot signups for our drawings and things like that. So really like grassroots pounding the pavement stuff that, I think comes from my sales background. It's just, I'm very traditional in certain ways. I'm very progressive and modern when it comes to the technology, but I think this is part of the art and science, and I'm probably going to talk about it at the Flow conference, is that you have to kind of be prepared to do it all, because one thing isn't going to work for, all circumstances. Right. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's really like, I feel like that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in business, is that it's like when you see people that are successful, it's not that they had this one genius idea that is making them successful. It's that they had 1,000 small good ideas that are all like building on top of each other like that. It's been a big takeaway for me.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm constantly, every day I wake up and I can't really shut this off. I'm looking at our numbers, looking at our reservations. And if I feel like we're a little bit lighter, I'm trying to put something in motion, right? I probably drive my staff batshit crazy, but it's just, I think you have to be able to pivot. You have to be agile. You have to be, like a player in a game, anticipating these moves from other people, or the lack of moves. And I think that's what really being a modern business, needs to be. You have to have some emotional intelligence to kind of understand when to make these moves. And I'm not sure that we do, right? I'm looking at Indiana and I'm going, oh my gosh, it's so light on these days. And I'm not used to that, because in Chicago, we've been so, our occupancy has been so high, but it's a different dynamic. So I think this is a true test for me. Like everything I've always taught my clients as a consultant, for years, I preached about email marketing and making sure you're communicating with your clients. And, it's putting me to the test. It really is. It's putting me to the test on, am I doing everything I would coach someone else to do? And the answer is no, I'm not sometimes, right? Because you're putting fires out and It's hard. So I'm my biggest critic for sure, but we're doing a lot of things right. It's going to take time. And it's exciting. It's great to have the challenge of, making it work and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And it's, I guess what sounds kind of valuable to me and what I've been hearing you say is that almost having a slightly bigger challenge of bringing people in has led you to, the stuff that you're trying there that's working is then things that you can take over to Chicago to like fuel that fire even more.
Yes.
And, it sounds like you've been doing a lot of that. Like we'll test it here and we can actually get a better sense of what the real impact is. And then, if it's worth its time, then we can implement it other places.
For sure. I did not expect to implement the member guest day in River North, but then part of me thought, well, I don't want one of my members from Northwest Indiana talking to a member in Chicago, which we do have that crossover. There's plenty of people who go to both.
Right.
I didn't want one to have, I guess it's the mom in me wanting to make sure both of my kids have equal opportunity. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to do this over here. So it wasn't necessarily to, try to push more to River North, because, we're just busy there. It was more about just making sure there's, equal guest perception. And, I didn't think about that right away. And also from an employee standpoint, we do some incentive programs for our employees too. So that also called me to kind of neutralize the way we do things across locations.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm going to have to turn some spigots on and off based on business demand in the future for sure. But yeah, it's a totally different market, and it's 26 miles from each other. It's amazing how that works. It's a different world. Like I always joke around about Indiana being kind of this, where we are in Indiana, we're kind of the stepchildren. Nobody likes us from Indiana because we act like we're from Chicago, and nobody from Chicago likes us because we act like we're from Chicago. We're not. But I have the luxury of having lived in both. I can, honestly say I'm from Chicago too, but it's a different world. We cross the border and it's a different world. So, yeah.
Cool. Interesting. Well, best of luck with all that, and excited to hear more about your marketing experience at the Float Conference this year?
Great. I look forward to it. Can't
Awesome.
wait.
Great. All right. Thanks, Gloria.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Ashkahn.
Yep. All right, if you guys out there have more questions for us to answer like we normally do on this podcast, you can go to floatanksolutions.com/podcast. And if you want to hear Gloria's interview, more long-form interview, you can go over to floatconference.com. And you'll see a little button there for the podcast to listen to interviews with all of the conference speakers. We will talk to you soon.